Namaste, my friend. How are you doing? So, today in this journey is the next step. We have to learn or we have to educate the mind the power of discernment and dispassion. It is the internal process of thinking. That is what I say the contemplation and reflection. The normal research studies in the science, they fix the protocol. You have certain variable factors. In variable factors, you do the research means that you observe the data through your sense organ, and ultimately the mind analyzes and finds the result. But in Eastern wisdom, the research about our true nature is done by the discernment and dispassion. So when we do the research with discernment and dispassion, it results into clarity, first thing. But discernment and dispassion will lead us to the sixth inner wealth of the mind. We already know the uh, wealth of the mind in the modern life when we are living our life in anxiety, duality, money mindedness, strong likes and dislikes, guilt, etc., etc., etc. But here, our master says that uh, if we educate our mind and apply the discernment and dispassion in any given situation in our life, it will remove our impure states of the mind. We started our journey shattering the delusion and embracing unconditional love. So, when you apply the discernment and dispassion, the mind becomes empty. There is no attachment. Attachment to what we say, the love outside. Then, what happens in that inner, when after the discernment and dispassion is applied, then what happens? The unconditional love starts manifesting from within. In our mind first, it becomes a pure emotion, it goes into the body, then into our thought and action. Unconditional love simply means that love which is free from attachment and detachment. That love is free from dependence, free from paralysis, free from obsession. We are talking of that love. When the love is expressed outside, it becomes compassion. So we have understood in the last 6 or 7 series how impure states of the mind causes the delusion, and that leads to endless suffering. We also understood that how to understand the pure states of the mind and what to do. We also understood what to do and what not to do when impure states of the mind takes over. And today we have to understand clearly the discernment and dispassion. We have to educate the mind. It is all a contemplative and reflective process. I have to think inside my head. I can only think in with discernment and dispassion if the mind is calm and even in cases of anxiety also we can use the power of discernment. Mind enters into anxiety, intellect has to think in a right direction. But if we know the concept of discernment and dispassion clearly, it becomes very easy for us to mm, apply the discernment and dispassion and get rid of those problems and the challenges in our daily life. So first practice, we are continuously doing the same practice but with a little change. I tweak that in order to help you move into the higher states. So close your eyes, find out the most beautiful place to sit in any posture that you like, and check the position of the body. Place, position of the body. So last time you remember the practice, you need not to be in a hurry. So once your eyes are closed, you found the place, you acquired the position in the posture. So the first thing that what we should do? What we should do? We should be aware of the space all around your body. Become aware of the space around 1 foot, or then all around your body, as if you are encircled by the space, and the space has nothing. It is just a space and emptiness. So you are already educating the mind how to empty yourself. Are you getting it? Yes. And now from that space, move the mind on the skin of the body and become aware of the position of the body. You see, I'm tweaking a little bit, and that is a higher principle I'll introduce later in the future sessions. So you are aware of the space and you're moving your mind from the space to the skin of the body, and that you become aware of the body. You have a feeling of the body from the top of the head to the toes, and now become aware of the posture that you have while moving the mind on the body, like around head and the neck, and find out, is there any unease or you need to change your position. Shoulder joints, if you want to change your position. Sometimes the mind feels during the practice, oh, let me stretch. So no, check the position of your hands, preferably placed on your thighs, and the spine, and the hips, and the knees, and the calves, the entire body. So the place, the position, and the posture. It becomes very easy to change the direction of the mind from the world outside to inside. When you change the direction of the mind by being comfortable, you experience the kind of relaxation and the steadiness in the body. So consciously you are understanding that you are changing the direction. You are looking at the neck joint being there, looking inside the neck joint, gently pushing the mind to look inside the neck joint. So you have already changed the direction. These joints are working just as a tool to change the direction of the mind, and then you experience sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Look at the shoulder joints being there, feeling, looking inside, looking inside. So when you're looking inside, you are aware that you have left the world outside. Mind is looking within, and when the mind looks within, there is a kind of relaxation takes over. You experience the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. If not, move the mind once again, looking at the entire body from the top of the head to the toes, looking almost at the skin of the body, moving the mind on the skin of the body, and now looking inside the skin, looking inside the skin, anywhere inside the cheeks, inside your heart, inside your belly. You will definitely experience the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. When the mind is scattered outside in millions of directions, on millions of objects, people, and relationship, it is always in a sense of, you can say a kind of anxiety is already there, but which has become a normal to us. But when you move the mind and start looking inside, you change the direction and you experience the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. In that state of comfort and steadiness in the body, now we move to the next step as being carefree. Do you still remember the meaning of being carefree here? Free from all the cares. Who cares? As the mind, impulsive mind, habitual mind, mind with the past impression, mind with the negative emotions, belief in the thoughts. So we look inside the forehead in the space. Be very clear. You're looking into the space or emptiness or the darkness all around. In that dark space, you may find that thought and emotions pops up, but they cannot disturb that space. I told you last time it is like a highway, whether you have light traffic, heavy traffic, traffic jam, or no traffic at all. Highway does not change. The space inside our head does not change. It's a deeper layer. Only on the surface we have the thought, belief, emotions of the impulsive, impure mind. So you are separated. You see the separation between the thought, feeling, and emotions and the space. It is just like the space, the sky. Nothing happens to the sky. The birds are flying from one direction to the other. So you see that we are asking the mind, can you move within and live within? From being comfortable, we change the direction. From being carefree, the mind has started living within. So when it continues to live within, that is the right time to help the mind to rise in awareness. And the simple practice, in that state of the steadiness, you start inhaling through the nostrils gently. It should take time, first into the belly, then into the rib cage. Lips remain together. Look into the inside the forehead and start dropping mentally shanto hum while breathing out, making the humming sound gently for a longer period. Three active steps: inhalation and exhalation, humming sound, and Om Shanti you are dropping continuously during inhalation and exhalation inside the forehead in the space. So that prevents the thoughts coming from the impulsive and the impure states of the mind. You're also dropping constantly Om Shanti inside your forehead in the space, in the state of the stillness in the body. Now stop that Om Shanti. Allow the breath to return to its normal pattern. Keep watching and observing the movement of the breath going in and out. The moment the breath goes in, you say, Om Shanti, and looking into the space inside. When the breath returns, drop Om Shanti, looking into the space, looking into the space. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. I changed the practice a bit, and if you find this practice better, follow this, otherwise the last one is okay. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. And doing nothing, remain as you are. I will say Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. First Shanti to the known world of people, relations, everything, as if your mind is reaching there with a peace. Second Shanti is for the unknown world. Third is deep within you. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And you open your eyes, be ready to listen. My master only used to say that, why don't you start thinking the way I think? And then the master said, I always think based on the knowledge of the Eastern wisdom, that nothing is mine. So why we should start thinking the way our masters have been thinking? That will change the entire nature of the mind. It will remove all the delusion. We will hammer the delusion by just these thought process of contemplation and reflection. Today we are taking up how the discernment and dispassion helps in. We will analyze simultaneously impure versus the pure states of the mind, and then we will see what to do. I told you the discernment is viveka in Sanskrit. That means separate. We are separating real from the unreal. That is the highest topic in Eastern wisdom. But we are separating the false from the right notions, from the impulsive nature to the constructive nature. So you're separating. How you separate? You separate in your mind. No, but what is the process? By thinking. So that is what the discernment is. Very well famous example of discernment at the physical level is when the sesame seed, which seems to be yellow or black, and it is mixed with the rice. So you know the properties of the rice, which is white in color, and the sesame seed is black, round, and the rice seed is different. So because of their properties, we can understand and we can separate. That is how the discernment is explained. Then we have discernment, how to separate milk from the water. That is little bit complex process. In a machine we separate. Or you just convert that into yogurt so you can see the water remains on the surface, and then you squeeze it completely, and that is another way. But how to separate inside our head? So there is a mystic and there is a secret. So I have discussed that before, long before. So you see that you separate sesame seed from the rice. They are two entities. You separate milk from the water, two entities, two items. But when you separate the false from the right notion, in the very process of separating, the false dissolves and disappears. Your anxiety dissolves and disappears. Your reaction dissolves and disappears. Your anger dissolves and disappears. Why? That is not our real nature. It is a false nature. The false appears to exist, but it does not exist. That is what the discernment. So now the false is already gone. The wrong notion is already gone. The negative impulses are already gone. So what happens? You naturally enter into the state of the calmness and the peace. That state is the dispassion. So that is what we are going to understand with reference to a couple of pure states of the pure and the impure states of the mind, the very process that we should follow. So let us take an example of a guilt mind. So what should be I would say fairly opposite. So the opposite of guilt mind would be, which is impure mind, would be something like forgiveness mind. Forgiveness mind is a pure state of the mind. Guilt mind is the impure stage. How do we understand a mind burdened by excessive, inappropriate, and unresolved feelings, which is ready to do the self-harm is the guilt and the shame? So what is the cause and effect sankalpa? Do you still remember? Imagine thought of either happiness or pain, or you can say imagine happiness in self-punishment. That is where the guilt is, leading to low self-esteem and self-sabotaging behavior. We are understanding, we are contemplating. That is how you have to contemplate. Someone unable to forgive themselves for the past mistakes, so leading to chronic guilt that impairs the life. So if you have any past impression, you have to discern, you have to first make a list and then. So what is the discernment and dispassion here? You recognize the destructive nature of excessive emotion and the thought of a guilt. Oh, that is the right time to do the practice. I have to enter into the self-compassion. I have to forgive myself as I forgive others. So it originates basically from the past impressions, which is already stored in our mind, and when we wake up, it prompts the mind by the triggering effect of something outside, and then that past impression is something like unworthiness. So that unworthiness fuel. Imagine happiness through self-punishment. What I have to do? I have to acknowledge the guilt without judgment. As if Michael, you say to yourself, if your name is Michael, you say, Michael, this is what is happening to your mind. This is the impulsive nature, obsessive nature. It has come from the past. So you acknowledge the guilt without judgment when you talk to yourself objectively. Then you identify the underlying belief causing the guilt. Find out what causes you the unworthiness. So once you find the unworthiness, you question the validity and helpfulness of the belief. You question the unworthiness. You question the validity and helpfulness of that belief. So once you question, you reframe the situation, you reframe the thought with a self-compassion. And then you start thinking, oh, let me forgive myself. Let me forgive. And the mantra, Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu. May there be happiness for all. So when there is already a happiness for all, question of guilt does not arise in our mind. And then we are grateful to the existence. Thank you, existence. I am grateful to you. You put me into the situation of the guilt to understand the cause and effect. And I am highly grateful to you. I am moving into the state of forgiveness and stay there in that state of the calmness. So this is what we have understood the process. But we should also understand what exactly is the forgiveness. A mind that practices self-compassion, learns from the mistakes, releases the guilt in a healthy manner, that is what the forgiveness is. Your teeth hurt the tongue and you don't punish it. It is a natural forgiveness. Do you see that? So the discernment recognizes the wisdom. You are separating self-punishment versus the forgiveness. Self-punishment, it is ignorance. Wisdom in forgiveness, this is knowledge. So leading to the self-acceptance and inner peace. And you enter into the state of dispassion. You awaken to the inner wealth of the mind, the calmness and the peace and the joy and the endurance. What we did, we invoke the positive impressions which is already stored in our mind. By thinking, by separating, we trigger that. Normally, all the negative emotions are triggered unconsciously, habitually. We don't know when we are going to be angry, upset, etc., etc. But here we have to do it consciously. Peace and happiness is a matter of choice. It will never come if you don't ask for it. Are you getting it? So awareness, it means I have to be aware. So I have to be aware when the feeling of the guilt arises in my mind. Observe the thought, emotions, and belief, or the physical sensations associated with the guilt, without any judgment. Oh, I feel like this, feel heaviness. My mind is constantly repeating, that guilt. Okay, that is the point of awareness. In the second step, we start thinking objectively. That is what is the meaning of analysis. So examine the situation that triggered the guilt. Examine the situation. And the guilt is generally belongs to the past. Identify the specific action or non-action in terms of thinking, emotions and belief or action. And then you start digging your mind deeply. Oh, why I have a guilt? So you start digging deep into your mind and you explore the underlying belief or expectation causing the guilt. What happens? You ease. You recognize, for example, I said hurtful things in anger when I was out of the mind. So I believe I am a bad friend because of this. I expect myself always to be kind and never make mistakes. So these thoughts results into greed. So you just do the opposite. I said hurtful things in anger. It is a past event. I said it impulsively. Now I'm going to change from impulsive to wisdom. I promise myself that I'm not going to say this thing. So when you're repeating and followed by the practice of meditation, you change. So discernment by the thinking. This is what the discernment between the real and the unreal. Any form of the impure states of the mind belongs to unreal. It is false. Just declare it is false. Whether it is a guilt or anxiety, duality or a conflict, it is false. So you recognize the difference between the false and the real. The false comes and goes, the real always remains. Peace is my essential nature, it will always remain with me. So you are separating. I gave an example of sesame seed with the rice. You're separating milk and and the water. But internally, you are doing it internally. It is not outside. You are thinking like this. So when you're thinking in discernment, your mind changes. There and then. Look at other example, the anxiety mind. Opposite of anxiety mind is equanimity, the mind with equanimity, or equanimous mind. Are you listening to me? Are you listening in the state of the calmness? Yes. Are you listening to me in the state of calmness with a sense of equality? Yes. That is equanimous mind. We don't have any form of the anxiety. So if you look at the anxiety, irrational, unfounded, excessive worry and nervousness and apprehension of potential threats and negative outcome. I start thinking of negative outcome. Irrational. There is no rationality behind. So why I start thinking? Because I want a safety mechanism. So I find in worry, in nervousness, and in apprehension of potential threat, I imagine. Imagine is sankalpa. Imagined, I told you. Are you getting it? Imagined thought projects illusory control. I feel that I will be able to control myself if I worry, if I'm nervous, if I have an apprehension of the potential threat. I continuously, so I start thinking, I keep worrying, I start thinking. Are you getting it? It's a crazy state of the mind. So, because I want to avoid, it's an avoidance behavior, escapism. So there we have to apply the discernment and dispassion. So we have to distinguish between actual worry and the false worry, false nervousness and the actual nervousness, false apprehension and the real apprehension. So when you objectively think, you enter into the state of a dispassion, and once you enter into the state of a dispassion, you get rid of it. You don't need to practice meditation, but yes, if the effect remains, it is better to do the practice of meditation so that you have removed the traces. So can we underline the steps? Notice the anxiety arising without judgment. Identify the specific fear or concern triggering the anxiety. Question the likelihood and true impact of the feared outcome. Internally you remember, oh, nervousness, anxiety, worry is a shield to protect the potential threat. There is no potential threat. So question of worry and excessive worry doesn't arise. And then you practice. In the beginning, you should do the practice after analyzing, and after the practice, again you analyze. So you will see that that is gone. But now it is always better that you should pick up the equanimous mind. You should pick up the pure states of the mind and start contemplating and reflecting on that. What is a mind with an equanimity? A mind that remains calm, balanced, and peaceful, even in the face of uncertainty and challenge. We have many challenges every day in our daily life. So we remain calm and indifferent and balanced and peaceful. So I discover a thought with the inner faith of trust and equanimity, that peace and happiness, I am projecting it. All peace and happiness is my essential nature, and it is within me. Let me look at it. Leaving aside, you start dropping the unwanted and unnecessarily thinking. So then what happens? You are moving into discernment. You recognize the transient nature of external circumstances. So the moment you recognize the transient nature of external circumstances expressed in thought, belief, and emotions, you start dropping it. When you drop, you enter into the state of a dispassion. If you don't understand, tell me what you did not understand. Question it so that you continue to start living in a higher awareness, and that higher awareness keeps you in the state of calmness, peace. That will take you to longevity. You have a plan to live for 100 years. One of the most destructive impure states of the mind is the reactive mind. And what should be the opposite is the conscious mind. Are you conscious? Are you listening to me? Yes. Can you become angry? No, I don't have any reason to become angry. That is what the mind says. Can you become upset? No, I don't have any reason to be upset. That is the conscious mind. So when you live consciously, there is no question of any reaction or anxiety. A mind that automatically reacts to external triggers with intense emotion is a reactive mind. Impulsive mind, lacking conscious choice. So when I react without any choice, so I don't think of the choice and I simply react. Reactive mind. Or you can also add reactive mind, anger mind, upset mind, all into the same category. Why it happens? Past impression. Outer event triggers. It projects happiness. Oh, how can it project the happiness on the real? No, it projects inner so-called false happiness onto controlling external condition. That is why I react, leading to impulsive and emotional reaction. Are you getting it? I am projecting unconsciously the state of happiness in the outer situation by controlling impulsively. So when I control impulsively, I have to react. So by the virtue of reaction, I say I am controlling you. I am controlling this situation. Very dangerous state of mind. So when you apply the discernment and dispassion, you recognize the thought, I don't want to control the outer situation because it does not result into any peace and happiness. Let me take over myself. Let me drop the impulsive nature. You think in this way. When you think in this way, what I'm saying that you listen to it and then go back to the last week or last year, prepare a list that when you reacted, analyze that situation and start creating a positive thinking, reflecting that event. So what is going to happen? You are dropping and dissolving the past impressions. Let us look at the other way around. What about the conscious mind? Conscious mind, the mind that responds to external triggers with awareness, with thoughtfulness, and emotional balance. When I say namaste to you, it is with emotional regulation, with a thoughtfulness to begin the session with awareness. Namaste is very important symbolic message. Hi does not convey that message which the namaste conveys that message. Namaste is simply one meaning of the namaste is that I am not. So when I am not, where the impulsive reaction will be. There is another meaning, namaste, I am you and you are me. So if we both are one, how can reaction can happen? But anyhow, come to the conscious mind. Conscious mind means it is aware of the external situations, it is aware of the external trigger. Someone shouts, but I maintain my calmness. Okay, let me see what happened to this guy. Thoughtfulness, emotional bias is there. That is your conscious. We live consciously during the day. Unless the impulsive nature takes over the mind, then we have a problem. Self-inquiry. Self-inquiry cultivates the ability to observe thought and emotions. Instantly I become aware. Let me first observe the thought, feeling, and emotions that is going on into my mind so that I can take a right decision in that situation. Another way that how many times I reacted like this in a particular situation, it means that is coming from the past impression. You are now discerning. Oh, that is my habitual reaction. Can I change? Okay, in a given situation in the future, how I'm going to respond? You start thinking. I'm going to respond positively. I will say, hello, how are you? I'm grateful to you. I appreciate your wisdom. Whatever in a particular situation. So you start thinking and creating those impressions in your mind. It is always good to do this exercise at least for 2 weeks daily. And in a couple of the situations, you create those positive thought and send back to me. We know the habitual impulsive reaction we have done many a times, and then now you are educating the mind what response I would give if I find the same situation again. If you are practicing inside your head and the same situation comes in the future, your mind is ready to respond. It has an option. You have already created a space and your anxiety is gone, your reaction is gone. That is how you remove the past impressions, which is impulsive, which is reactive, which is full of anxiety, self-punishment, etc., etc. It's a wonderful way to take care of yourself. Longevity. Now, let us take another example of the money mind. Money mind, obsessive desire for the wealth and possessions. But why I have an obsessive desire when the need-based desire is fulfilled? Because that obsession, because I have projected the happiness into the wealth. Belief, blind belief. It will provide me happiness and security. So it means it is a projection of my mind. and that projection is false. And then I get upset. And that upset, I create a lot of impressions of the upset in my mind. And I remain in anxious, my mind remain upset, leading to greed or workaholism, neglect of relationship. I neglect even my health. Discernment and dispassion is required. So I use the discernment to recognize the transient nature of material wealth. You repeat 1 million times. Any form of the wealth comes to me to go. It changes its hand. What will happen in the future situations we do not know. We can lose $1 million the next day, or we can add up another $1 million the next day. Uncertainty is there. But in that uncertainty, if I project that uncertainty guides me towards happiness, that is the crazy stuff. We have to get rid of that crazy stuff. We should balance. We should manage our finances. We should correct if we can do the correction. But it should not lead us to greed or obsession or a plain factor of obsession because I project the happiness and the security in the wealth. Tomorrow I will die. What the wealth or the bank balance will do? It doesn't mean at the same time I'm making a financial management. So what should be the opposite of the money mind? It should be content mind. I have a need-based desire fulfilled. Yes, I'm content. There is a contentment. I have a need-based responses to in relationship. Yes, I have a content mind. My objective is to remain content, not to be impacted by the outer situations, possessions, and relationship is a sense of contentment. Contentment means that sense of self-sufficiency. What is self-sufficiency? My need-based desire are fulfilled. I have to return to the basics. So when there is a sense of self-sufficiency, you will discover the inner peace and generosity and the joy in your life. That is what the discernment is. So what is the discernment here? I discern, or I mean to say we discern between the true needs and wants. Apply dispassion on the wants, follow the needs. You are happy and relaxed when here and now in any given situation. By nature and because of the impact from the modern life, many impressions have been accumulated in the mind that has resulted into the discontentment, that has resulted into the money mind, that has resulted into the obsession with the wealth and the possessions. So when you drop that want, you stick to the need-based desire. You're continuously working. The wealth is coming, but you don't add the stigma of the peace and happiness, projection of the peace and happiness there. Life is smooth. Life is like a smooth ride. My friend, think of likes and dislikes mind, beyond likes and dislikes mind. You can also think of grandiose mind versus the humble mind. Grandiose mind is impure mind. We have already discussed. In the humble mind, we have already discussed. So you see that how you can move from grandiose mind to the humble mind, sheep mind to the independent mind. So you should have a sense of freedom and independence. Like this. That is going to help you a great deal in the journey of this mental evolution, and you'll be absorbed into the deeper meditation. The deeper meditation will take you to a higher state of the consciousness to find the real self. That is what we have been understanding uh, in these sessions, almost for the 5 or 6 or 7 sessions. We have been talking about pure impure mind, what to do, what not to do, and how to help ourselves. So beside the practice, it demands a lot of contemplation and reflection. And I believe you will do it. You will send me the questions. Thank you, my friend. That is all for today.